Okay, hi everyone. So nice to see everyone here. I'm Anne. I'm a research assistant and ethnographer with Metagov. We are not a product. We are a research group. So today's presentation is going to give you an introduction, an overview of the Metagovernance project, also known as Metagov. And if you're interested in DAOs and questions around governance and governance tools, this presentation might be relevant for you. So the Metagovernance project is a digital native, non-for-profit, interdisciplinary research collective that was formed in 2019. And our primary mission is to build standards and infrastructure for digital self-governance. So our research collective develops projects in pursuit of our vision to empower self-governance within and across online communities. And researchers working with Metagov include some of the key people behind Creative Commons, platform cooperativism, and blockchain law. But before I talk more about Metagov, I'll just briefly introduce myself. So I'm a PhD student in communication studies at McGill University in Montreal, Canada. And my background is in anthropology and science and communication studies. So my current work looks at crypto politics and DAO governance in the Ethereum ecosystem. And I'm interested in questions around how DAOs and other Web3 tools are being deployed to craft new political sensibilities, paradigms, and modalities. So if you're interested in reading some of my work, feel free to check out a paper I wrote on Ethereum ideologies. The link's in the slide. Or just come say hi after the presentation. We can talk more about this. Very passionate about the subject. So yeah, how did I join Metagov? So as an ethnographer, you need to get your hands dirty, and get out there in the field to see and observe what people do and how people think about governance in Web3. So I was interested in how governance specifically operates within DAOs. And it's a very complex and convoluted topic. So Metagov seemed just like a great opportunity to explore this area. And with other scholars and practitioners in the industry who are actively working to create better governance models and tools. So I'll begin by outlining the various projects that Metagov research groups are working on, and then I'll give you an autoethnographic account of what it was like for me personally to work in one of the working groups called GovBase. So then to close, I'll outline some of the ways that you in the audience can connect with Metagov and participate in some of the research projects we are running. We're always looking for contributors, especially for your work in any DAOs. It would be good to get in touch and chat. So let's first talk about how we work. So working groups are at the core of Metagov, and we have 4 of them. Working groups produce and facilitate research groups that drive our mission and vision forward. Within Metagov, there are formal and informal working groups. So the informal working groups are groups that are emergently spun up within the community around a particular research topic. And then the formal working groups are supported by Metagov in the form of publication on the Metagov website and use of Metagov's legal and financial infrastructure. So for today's presentation, I will be outlining 4 of the primary working groups and the projects that they are conducting. And then they include Metagov Gateway, Metagov DAO, DAOstar 1, and GovBase. So Metagov Gateway, what is it? So this is an open source API gateway for online communities, and it helps communities govern themselves by connecting decision-making tools to platforms where decisions need to be made. So we think of it as a V1 of the governance layer for the internet. And the Metagov Gateway is being developed in partnership with the Social Futures Lab at the University of Washington, where PolicyKit, the software that drives Metagov's Gateway, is being also developed. So we are currently looking to work with experienced Python developers as well as meet with online communities exploring digital self-governance to learn from them and what their needs are in terms of tools for online governance. And we are also keen to meet people who are building tools and libraries and are interested in integrating with a governance-oriented API gateway, and I'll let you know how to get in touch with us at the end of this presentation. So Metagov DAO is the other research project that we run. So the DAO is an effort by Metagov to catalyze governance research among participants in the Metagov community with a focus on participatory digital communities. And the DAO holds a rolling call for proposals with grants between $100 and $10,000, and it's focused on supporting qualitative research projects, including original and creative research on online governance, and open source and open access research as a public good. And then we have DAOstar 1. So DAOstar is a research track that is committed to defining a common interface for DAOs. So it's akin to the token URI for NFTs, so that DAOs of all shapes and sizes are easier to discover, more legible to their members, and more compatible with future tooling. So many DAOs already publish their data in various ways. DAOstar 1 has standardized these existing best practices, making it easier for people to create and maintain new DAOs and DAO tooling. So if you run a DAO and you feel like this could be useful to you, feel free to join us on one of our community calls. Okay, and now my personal favorite, GovBase. So the GovBase working group is working on several projects spanning both qualitative and quantitative research around the governance of online communities. So one project we're working on is called MetaEth, which is short for MetaEthnography. It's a digital ethnography project that's centered around the use of a Discord bot that aids in ethical and responsive ethnography, and the project is primarily focusing on blockchain communities that use Discord as their home base. So I'll go through some of the projects I participated in and basically outline my experience of working with them. So I was hired as a research assistant for GovBase, and the foundation of GovBase's work is the GovBase dataset. So it's a crowdsourced open database for online governance projects, organizations, and concepts that are maintained by Metagov and used to support a variety of Metagov projects as well as external collaborations. So the database tracks projects, organizations, governance structures, social ontologies, governance documents, constitution models, entity decision models, contract object, and contract parameters. Just to name a few categories, there's a lot more there. So yeah, I was hired to essentially curate this database, and in Metagov, it works a lot like a DAO sometimes, where basically you have to wear many hats. So when I was initially hired, I was working on this database, and I felt like I was almost working like a data engineer type of role, because I had to figure out the taxonomies and come up with things that people would find useful. So yeah, working with Metagov certainly calls for a level of flexibility, and you're going to be bouncing between roles, and you have to be comfortable with wearing many different hats. All right, so the other project that we did is called the Crypto Politics Quiz. So basically, we created a quiz that people can take, which tells you where you fit in the crypto political landscape. And there were 10 categories that we came up with. So we got things like degens, crypto punks, crypto libertarians, crypto anons, true neutrals, and so on. And we made them basically into NFTs. So when you took the quiz, you basically got an NFT that represented your political category. Yeah, so when we collected the data, we then analyzed it and came up with a few key takeaways. I won't go too much into it, and we do have a blog that outlines our analysis, but I can say that something interesting that we found is that we discovered that 5.9% of respondents identified as right-wing, 51.6% identified as liberal or left-wing, and 42.6% identified as neither. So we also found that governance is a contentious issue. Respondents' issues were split on whether they favor on-chain over off-chain governance, and a small majority of respondents considered crypto to be mainly a political philosophy / lifestyle rather than an economic technology. So although we're not collecting data at the moment, you can take the quiz just for fun. All right, and then third project is the constitutions of Web3. So we've been working on a paper on DAO constitutions, and the purpose of this project is basically to standardize existing best practices for constitutions and to create guidelines for communities who are looking to implement their own digital constitutions. So we conducted an analysis of 19 DAO constitutions, and we found that the textual aspects of these constitutions take many different shapes, from 300-word policy manifestos to the 30-page legal charters to a series of informal blog posts. So different constitutions were written for different audience at different stages within a project and community's evolution, and they all essentially serve very different purposes. However, despite their differences, each constitution can be productively understood as part of a broader discourse around governance within the emerging DAO ecosystem. So, yeah, I'll just move on to talking about my experience. So, Metagov is a lot like working in a DAO. There are various types of research projects and circles running adjacent to each other, and you don't always know what's happening in those groups, but we do have weekly sync sessions where people can give brief updates on their work. And so when you initially join, you will feel very confused and unfamiliar with some of the new terminology and the tools that you have to learn how to work with. But after attending a few meetings, things eventually start to click and you're in business. So yeah, it's like working in a DAO. So context is very important and something that usually takes time to acquire. But Metagov is also very collaborative in its practices, and we run like a duocracy. So you can take on any research and tasks you so wish, and of course, it also helps to be flexible. As I said, I've often found myself wearing more than one hat. Working as a data scientist, I have no skills in that area, but it gives you great exposure, to other fields, and you can see how other people think. So that's what I love most about it. So before joining Metagov, I knew very little about DAOs. Like, I was a total noob, but by working on some of these projects, this exposed me to the DAO world and enabled me to see how people are currently approaching questions around decentralized forms of governance and what tools they're implementing to fulfill their needs. And I realized that there's a lot of good folks in this community who are thinking about blockchain as public goods rather than just using it for venture capital. So that's something I'm really interested in. And yeah, working with Metagov gave me basically the confidence to actually start participating in DAOs as a contributor. And now I'm working in quite a few DAOs, seeing everything fold into action, which is great. And the best part of working with Metagov is that it's a really amazing group of people who are super smart, and they're thinking through really important questions that I'm sure will pave the way for future governance, research, and practices. So GovBase is a crowdsourced community effort, and we're always looking for more editors, contributors, and research partners. If you would like to do research with GovBase, contribute data, or if you have an existing mapping project that you'd like to integrate, please do get in touch. We have a community hub with information on how to join and get onboarded into Metagov. So it's a project dashboard with paths that are laid out, and a member directory with information on folks' research interests and backgrounds. And we also run weekly seminars that bring experts in online governance to present their work to the community. So if you're interested in joining the Metagov research community or contribute, take a look through our resources. They're posted on my slides. And feel free to also connect with any of us. Josh Tan is our exec, Sand Hostin is our community manager, and I myself. And you can find me on Twitter or just come talk to me after the presentation. And that's it. Thanks. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed it.